It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio with us today. We are sitting down with Yavapai County Health Department epidemiologist Stephen Everett.
Hi,
welcome
thanks for
to
having
studio. We talked to you earlier this week.
Yes.
About West Nile virus.
West Nile virus.
Yeah, Maricopa County said they had a first confirmed case last week, and I'm pretty good. We've been trying to be kind of proactive on these things this year, and so I've been trying to kind of keep myself ahead of what I expect to be coming up in the news. And West Nile virus is definitely one of those things. When we start getting a monsoon, the temperatures start getting hot, we start seeing that stuff activate, and it usually spurs me to call the health department. But we've been so focused on wildfire and wildfire prevention this year, I think I kind of forgot about West Nile. And then Kyle Benedict had seen that story come across that a man down in Maricopa County had picked up West Nile virus for a really discounted rate. And then he's recovering, but then it made me think, okay, what about Yavapai County? Have we had any?
We have not seen
positives?
any cases so far this year. It doesn't mean that it isn't being spread. 4 out of 5 people will show no symptoms whatsoever.
Right.
So they could get infected and not even realize it.
Okay.
And then the remaining about 20%, they just have mild symptoms, just a fever, tends to be uncomplicated. You're sick for 2-3 days, and that's it. It's only a very small percentage you see the more severe symptoms like meningitis, encephalitis, and those where you start getting into the life-threatening illnesses.
Maybe we should start at the beginning. What is West Nile virus for those of us who don't know what that is?
Well, West Nile virus is what's called a zoonotic arbovirus.
Wow.
That's a big fancy name, which means it's a virus that usually lives and transmits in animals, but can make the jump from animals to humans. And then arbovirus means it's transmitted by arthropods, your insects, your spiders, ticks, lobsters. Actually,
really? Lobsters?
Yep, lobsters are actually related to insects.
I'll be darned.
It was first discovered in the West Nile region of Uganda back in 1937. And at the time, it wasn't really that interesting. It just would pop up periodically in little outbreaks or isolated cases, just a fever that lasts only a few days, so much like the simple cases that we see today. So it wasn't that much interest. It really lacked the sex appeal of malaria, dengue, the stuff that really scares. But in about mid-1990s, it changed. You started seeing more cases, and you started to see the more severe outcomes, your meningitis, your death, etc. So from there, it was started in North Africa. Then in 1996, it started going into Europe. There was a big outbreak in Romania. In 1999, it made the jump over to the Western Hemisphere. First case was in New York.
Okay.
And from there, it spread through the United States.
I can remember the reports of it traveling across the country slowly but surely.
Yeah, it took 4 years to make it to Arizona.
Wow.
Our first case was August 14th, 2003.
Huh.
And the August is important because it's starting on the tail end of summer. So we only saw 12 cases that year, so it was a very low number. But we knew it's going to explode the following year, and it did. We had over 300 cases, 391 cases just in that 1 year.
I remember that too. Yeah, that was a pretty crazy year.
Yeah, and from there, that was the peak year. From there, it dropped down, and since then, it's about averaging about 100 cases a year.
Why does it drop off like that?
Well, because one, it's coming into a population that's never been exposed, so everyone is susceptible. But the nice thing is, most people that get it, they don't show any symptoms. So they don't show any symptoms, but the body still recognizes it, builds up your antibodies, and so you're immune.
Gotcha.
So now that you have more immune people, less people to infect, so you're not going to see as many cases.
Okay. Now, it should continue to decline then, right? Unless, I guess, maybe the West Nile virus
it'll probably fairly
worse?
Steady, because, especially like in Arizona where we don't have a lot of water. So we have the mosquitoes, but they're not as prevalent as, say, in a swampy area where they have more places to breed.
I guess we should probably talk about that next.
Yes.
Who's bringing this around and who's giving it to everybody?
It's spread by mosquito, and it's spread by specific kinds of mosquito. Here in Arizona, it's mainly spread by a mosquito called Culex tarsalis.
Wow.
And it's not the only mosquito that does it, but that's the main agent. They spread it. They usually feed on birds. So if you remember early, there was like all these dead crows. That's what they prefer to feast on. But
Crows, or just birds in general?
Corvids. So it'd be your crows, your jays, wrens.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Insects
interesting.
are very particular on what they feed on.
No, I did not know that.
They're like wine connoisseurs. They're blood connoisseurs.
That blue jay looks pretty darn good over there. I'm going to go take some blood out of him.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep, and they usually only will feed on other animals if there's none of their preferred animals available. So
Wow.
we're just kind of convenient at the time.
Yeah.
So they come on, they bite an infected animal, they become infected, go to the uninfected person. When they bite, they inject a whole bunch of proteins and essentially mosquito saliva. And as they suck out the blood, the virus gets into the system. The virus starts multiplying, you get sick.
So these mosquitoes are feeding on us and giving us West Nile virus. We are not their preferred choice.
No.
We just happen to be handy at the time.
Exactly. We're kind of innocent bystanders.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea that that's how that worked.
Yeah, it's a lot of things
Now,
like that.
West Nile, the mosquitoes that carry the West Nile virus, I didn't know there were so many different kinds of mosquitoes either. There's a particular mosquito you're actually looking for. It has a look to it.
Right. It's the Culex mosquito. Can't really say how you look at it, and I don't know if the listeners are going to be going down with the magnifying glass.
Right.
Look
I know
at
they're
it.
pretty small, but I've seen the blown up pictures and press releases over the years from the health
Yes.
department, and it seems like it's a very dark mosquitoes with, I think, I want to say white lines on it, on the legs and,
I believe so.
and torso, and they've got a different look to them.
Yeah. The mosquitoes all have different looks. There's another one that carries it. Culex, there's Culex albopictus, Quinque fasciatus, all these big fancy Latin names.
Right.
They all have different patterns. So, but these particular mosquitoes, they also are very particular on where they breed. And so
are they?
Yes.
Maybe we should let's take our first break.
Okay.
Let's take our first break. We'll talk about that because I'm really baffled by the fact that they've got preferred food choices. Epidemiologist Stephen Everett in studio today with the Yavapai County Health Department. This is County-Wide. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break and we'll be right back.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh.
The smallest moments
can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Cheers.
Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back to Countywide. Yavapai County Health Department epidemiologist Stephen Everett in studio today. YavaPaiHealth.com is the website. Phone number is 771-3122. We're learning a lot about mosquitoes. One thing is we're not their preferred food. Is there a, is there a species of mosquito that likes to eat us?
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
That we're the preferred
but you don't know
choice.
exactly what his Latin name is.
Yeah, I'm sure there's several kinds of mosquitoes that do.
Okay. All right, that just really boggles my mind that they prefer their food. Okay, so now we know it's mosquitoes. Now, in the story we did with you last week, it was talked about, maybe it was David McAtee we had, but the common get rid of the standing water, but I know you guys are trapping a lot of mosquitoes over in Camp Verde right now.
Yes. All our cases of West Nile that we've seen in Yavapai County have all been over in the Camp Verde area, Cottonwood area, so the Verde Valley. I only recall one mosquito pool that we saw in Prescott, and that was like 2004, 2005.
Elevation?
It might be a shorter season. You know, it gets colder faster, but it's hard to say.
But they're like in Camp Verde. I mean, there's a lot of farming still in Camp Verde.
Right, and so there's a lot more opportunities for standing water as well. So a lot more breeding, and that's probably why.
Okay, so how many locations, do you know how many locations you test in Yavapai County?
No, I don't off the top of my head.
Okay.
It's done by a different department, environmental health. They send people out with the mosquito traps, like little traps. They put dry ice in it. The mosquitoes are attracted by carbon dioxide.
Okay.
They go into the trap, they're caught inside, they take them back to the health department, separate them out, look at the different species. They have characteristics. They get sent down to the state lab. The state lab essentially puts them in a blender, chops them up, puts in some materials and analyzes their DNA to identify the West Nile virus.
To see whether or not they have any. We have not had any of that come up yet.
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, so we're West Nile clear so far.
Yes.
And then Tavasi Marsh, I know in years past, Tavasi Marsh out by Dead Horse Ranch State Park is also an area where I know you guys have done some trapping in the past. And also about, I think, I want to say Peck's Lake out in Clarkdale. The public's not allowed to go back in there anymore, but I suppose trapping out there. I've been by Peck's Lake when the mosquitoes are busy in the evening hours, and they will eat you alive just as the sun starts to go down.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe what we should talk about is some preventative measures. We don't have any positive cases of it so far in Yavapai. Coconino County doesn't either. We had just the one in Maricopa County, so it kind of seems kind of slow this year. You'd think you'd have maybe more with all the rain we've had.
Yeah, you'd think so. It was just one of those years. It's hard to predict what years are going to be good, which years are going to be bad.
So what do we do to make sure we're just less apt to be fed on by these particular mosquitoes?
Okay, well, like you said, when you went out to Peck's Lake, it was in the evening. So these particular mosquitoes like to feed in the twilight hours, around dawn, around dusk. So if you try to avoid going out doing work outside at those times of day, do it at night. I don't know what you'd be doing in your yard at the middle of the night, or during the middle of the day, the time you don't want to.
Right, it's kind of a catch-22 this time of year because we're telling people don't be out in the heat of the day because it's the worst. Go out in the morning and the evening. But wait a minute, we've got these guys that got West Nile virus now. So, okay. Anyways.
Yeah. So if you do need to go out in the evening, work in the yard, use insect repellent. Wear long sleeves, long sleeve trousers, long sleeve shirt, socks. These particular mosquitoes, they like to bite around the ankles. They're the original ankle biters.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
So they've got a preferred area where they bite you as well.
Exactly. Yeah, so they'll come in, bite you around there, and then, so you want to keep those areas covered. From there, you protect yourself. What you want to do around your yard is get rid of any standing water. They don't need a lot of water to reproduce.
And when you say that, we should probably explain just what is not a lot of water. I'm thinking just like a capful.
This much. It's I brought this in for your radio audience.
Okay.
It's just a bottle cap.
A bottle cap.
Yeah,
okay.
As long as water can stay in there and there's a little vegetable matter in there for the mosquitoes to feed on, all it needs a week. So within a week, the eggs will hatch. They'll grow into adults and fly off next generation.
Wow.
So it doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take a lot of water.
I guess with being a bug, you've got to breed quick.
Exactly.
You've got to be fast about it. So there you go, a cap of water. Boy, it's pretty tough getting rid of all those caps of water. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, just you never think of where they could be. It's like, oh, that's where they are, but the mosquitoes find them.
Now, in my yard, I can think of a few things. Probably a wheelbarrow sitting upright. Maybe some pots that you took spring plants out of your tomato plants that you put in the ground. The pots are sitting there at an angle. Now you got some water down there in the corner.
Yeah, or even just a broken
tires.
pot. Tires will fill in there. Like gutters, if your gutters are a little off and don't drain all the way out, and there's like a little pool at the far end, that's enough in there. So they want standing water. They don't like moving water, say, the Verde River. There's different mosquitoes that can grow in there. They want something that's stagnant, doesn't move. There's the marsh, Peck's Lake. There's no movement. It gives them easy access to breed.
What kind of symptoms am I looking for? For those of us who may have had it and didn't even know it, we're feeling what?
Most cases, you're going to have just uncomplicated fever. You might have some vomiting, nausea, some muscle achiness, kind of just your usual.
Like a weak flu, maybe?
Yeah, like a weak flu.
Okay.
And it's not even enough to warrant going to the doctor. You're sick for a couple days, maybe not even stay home. You just kind of tough it out at work. And you're fine. You'll have no symptoms afterwards. But for people, the unlucky, the elderly, the very young, people have...
you hear this underlying health issues, too.
Yeah, underlying health issues,
always
especially ones where their immune system is compromised. So, if a person has HIV, someone is on immunosuppressants, like a person who's got an organ transplant, they can't fight it off as easily. So it stays in your system longer, causes more problems.
Okay.
And usually the more severe cases, then they can lead on to death.
All right. Is there treatment for West Nile?
It's more just care treatment. It's a virus.
Okay.
So antibiotics don't work on it. So mainly what they do is try to control the fever, control the symptoms until the immune system can take care of it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Let's take our next break. Yavapai County Health Department, epidemiologist Stephen Everett in studio today. YavaPaiHealth.com is the website for more information. Phone number is 928-771-3122. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary.
Hi, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving.
Why? What did I do?
Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit.
Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just
Please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
If you store your guns properly, I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids. This isn't a drill.
Please.
Please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
Welcome back to Countywide, YavaPaiHealth.com, the website you want to keep in mind, 928-771-3122. We're sitting down with the Yavapai County Health Department epidemiologist Stephen Everett. We're talking West Nile virus, which of course is kind of the summer one we got to watch out for. You know,
Yes.
just need to just pay attention to it. It's not a scare thing. It's just, you know, be aware that it's out there and think about that. Now, we've kind of covered West Nile, I think, pretty good. We've talked about it for many, many years.
Yes.
You said there's a couple of other insect.
Yes, we have two others that we're concerned about.
Okay.
That we're seeing. The first one's dengue. It's probably one of the more common ones. People have probably heard of that one.
Dengue fever?
Dengue fever.
What's that?
That is a disease, again, by mosquitoes. This one's, the other one, West Nile was Culex. This one's Aedes. And usually seen in tropical areas, but it's seen in Mexico. And last year, started seeing it in northern Sonora, which is the state just on the border with Arizona.
Oh, so we're expecting it to move into this area. Then.
Right, because we do have this mosquito here in Arizona. We haven't had any mosquitoes test positive yet, but it's most likely just a matter of time.
Is it going to have the West Nile effect too? Is it where some folks are just not going to feel hardly anything at all and others will, or is, it a sure thing?
80% just going to have mild fever, no problems. About 5% will have severe symptoms, and about 1/10% will die from it.
Okay.
So not really a big threat, but you still want to watch it, make sure, especially if you have underlying health issues, you get checked out if you have fever.
Gotcha. Okay. Then what's the other one?
The other one is chikungunya.
Chikungunya?
Yeah, it sounds like something you'd order at a Thai restaurant.
Yeah, it does. It sounds pretty good, but I imagine it's not.
No, this is a fairly new disease. It was very similar to West Nile. It was first found in Africa, and from there it spread worldwide. Last 2013, it was identified in St. Martin in the Caribbean. That was the first case in the Western Hemisphere.
How does mosquito populations from Africa get all the way over into the United States?
They can hitch a ride on a plane. You know, they're wandering around the airport, go into the plane. 14 hours later, find themselves in a new country. And
then they breed with our local mosquitoes. And it just continues on. Okay.
Exactly. Or if they, it could be a sick human. In some cases, the human will get bitten by the mosquito. If there's enough of a virus in the human to infect the mosquito, it'll happen that way.
Okay. All right. We were back to the chicken dish.
Yes, the chikungunya. Yeah. It's most of the time it's just fever for 2 to 7 days, but the concern we have for this is it causes joint pain, and this can last from weeks to several years.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's where
that one could be with you for a while.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the main concern of that is. So we haven't seen in Arizona yet. All the cases we've seen, the people got it from somewhere else. So we haven't had any native cases yet, but we're watching out for it.
YavaPaiHealth.com, more information there?
Absolutely.
All this stuff, okay, 928-771-3122 if you have questions. Stephen Everett, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, always a pleasure.
Great talking to you. That's today's Countywide. We'll talk to you again next time.